Hey guys, Mr. Abyss here with Life as a Shonen. If you're enjoying the content on our channel, go ahead and like our video and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to go ahead and get updates whenever we put out a new video, go ahead and click that little bell down there as well. Enjoy!
Well, hello everybody. We are back at it again this week with our latest release for the manga masterpiece by Eiichiro Oda known as One Piece, chapter 950. If you were with us last week, we had Luffy going and finally getting, or at least piquing the interest of the prisoners in Udon prison. He even took on the mummy virus onto himself and was trying to be a badass and get everyone and show everyone that you can fight through these things, that Kaido is not this unstoppable beast. Well, we will see how Luffy ended up after all of that in a few pages. We start off the chapter, if you remember in last chapter, Rizo threw the keys to Kid. And then we go through a little flashbacks in Kid's head of when he's talking to Luffy after Luffy was done talking to all the prisoners and finally, fallen over because of the mummy disease. And he was thinking in his head at the time that they'd talked, and he'd asked Luffy, like, you're really going to fight Kaido again? And Luffy turns to him and says, yeah, you want to come too, right? And Kid's like, you're crazy. You saw what Kaido did to my crew, my partner, my best friend, Killer. Not that he's not human anymore, but he lost a lot of what he is, and what it means to be a person has been lost now. He can't express himself. It's the same thing you saw with everyone else who ate the smiles like Otoko. But while all this is running through his head, and he's denying Luffy in his head, he's getting a more intense glare on his head, and the metal is starting to collect around his arm as he makes that giant metallic, like, robot scrap arm. He's still talking to Luffy, telling him, I'm done with alliances. I don't trust anyone anymore. Just be happy I don't feel like killing you right here. And he busts out of the prison door and finally decides to defy the people that are working for Kaido in this prison. He tells Killer, let's go. We're going on our own way from now on, and we're going to get our friends back. So you're having a good character arc of Kid. Kaido really, I guess in a way you say, neutered them. When he got that alliance together, Kaido fell from the skies, and they fought him as hard as they could, and everyone got wiped out. His crew got decimated. Killer got taken, almost lost his mind because of what Orochi did. It's hard for a person to probably stay confident when all of that goes down, and you really saw that in Kid specifically during this arc so far. And for him to finally turn and look and decide to go forward is a big thing for Kid, and he'll be able to contribute a lot in the arc going forward, I believe. One thing I did think about while I was reading it, though, was I expected, I guess one of the bad things to do, it's a very Buddhist thing, I do believe, that for you to dream of what's going to be, you can sometimes ruin the present. Because the thing you created in your mind and you've gotten so wrapped up in it that it can ruin something that should just be enjoyed. And I always thought that this huge war was going to happen between all the supernova. It was going to be this vying for power of who could be the next Yonko. But it really has been pushed forward by Oda that no, Luffy is on a different tier. It's a quicker way to do it. I don't even necessarily think it's any better or worse. I just trust in Oda. At this point, I think everyone that reads One Piece probably does, and you should for good reason. We flash to the prisoners talking and discussing and finding out that Luffy is in fact a pirate just like Kaido. This is not reassuring to them. As far as they're concerned, what makes Luffy any different? As far as we know, we beat Kaido, and Luffy is stronger than Kaido somehow, and now we have a more powerful warlord than Kaido ever was, and we're decimated because we just fought Kaido, and it's 20 more years of this fun stuff. Old Man Hyo notices this, and he's realizing that something's missing. Like, these men are finally ready to fight, but they don't really have a solidifying reason to do so. The prisoners even bring up, how are we supposed to even know that y'all really came from the future? Most of y'all that are here stayed anyways. And Rizo already looked like an old man, so we can't even tell what he looks like now. If he's young or not, I have no idea. And Old Man Hyo is wondering, where did Straw Hat go during all of this? And we finally find out the status of Luffy, and he is it's bad for him. It's not going well for Luffy at all. I wish I could show you all the panel. You go back to Momonosuke, Chopper, and Otama. She sees Luffy. So Luffy, the best way to describe Luffy is like his body is a husk. He does look mummified. His eyes are sunken in. There's not much extra skin on his body, and he's like smoking with disease. I don't know if it's fire or smoke. I'll be interested to see when they animate it what color this is, but this is the worst I've ever seen Luffy. And Chopper is just freaking out, not just because he's afraid that Luffy's going to die, because he's confident in what he can do, but he's just pissed that Luffy does this all the time. Charges headfirst into this thing, gets himself injured, and if Chopper wasn't there, he'd be dead. And I'm sure it gets tiring after a while to heal someone, let them get destroyed, heal someone, they destroy themselves, heal someone, they destroy themselves. Wouldn't be a fun thing to deal with. Momo even notices this and says that Luffy, although he is amazing, is an idiot. And he could never do something that Luffy did. The answer that Luffy gives to Momo, I like their back and forth. Luffy does not respect Momo at all. And I would say Luffy's joking, but Luffy is not the type to joke about it. He says that Momonosuke is the real idiot, and a coward, and a weakling, and a scary cat, and he's hopeless. I think it's Luffy just trying to push Momo. Because it's true. It's not true, but it's like Momo has a big thing to hold on his shoulders with what's going on in the story. Once this is all said and done, he's going to be the shogun of an entire country, and that's not something he was dealt with. I think he's like 8 years old too, 10 years old, something like that. It's very young to have to rule a kingdom that just went under a coup. And during the discussion, all of this, Luffy says to him, "You're the one that they're waiting for out there," and kicks Momonosuke outside, and all the prisoners take notice of the noise that's occurring behind them. And in that split second, everything changes. They look at Momonosuke, Momonosuke sees them. I believe that Momonosuke wasn't trying to reveal himself yet at this time, and the prisoners, before anything happens, they lose control of their emotions, go straight to their knees, and start crying as they scream out Lord Momonosuke's name. Lord Momonosuke's name, and he'll realize that's what was missing. A dream of their life after the battle. It's all well and good that we're going to get together and fight, but what is this for if we do win? And now that Momonosuke is there, they have the confirmation that they did time travel, because 20 years ago Momonosuke was this exact same age, and they all remember that. So it confirms in all of their minds that every single thing before this had been the truth. I love the way Oda writes. It's just all these loose ends just fly out, and you're going through the story wondering how they could ever be put together, and he just ties perfect knots. Just perfect ways to do it. And now you have everyone on their side already, ready and willing to give their life in the fight against Kaido. I guess this kind of reassures Kawamatsu that it's okay to go handle some business. You got to realize he's been locked up, I guess, for about 20 years as well. So he needs to go check on some things and deal with some other stuff. With that, we cut back to Ashura Doji and Kinemon. Duke Dogstorm talking about for Kinemon getting Ashura Doji to join them again in battle, like he was once ago as he was part of the Red Sheaths. And he begins the speech, and stuff really gets serious, and you see how bad it was for some of these people. And they're standing. Well, the camera angle that you're being shown in this big panel is the camera behind them as they're facing with their backs towards us, just this endless expanse of graves. And Kinemon's quiet. There's nothing to say, as he's not really certain what exactly. He knows it's graves, but what is it, and whose are they? What am I looking at? And Ashura Doji continues and says, "You cannot know how difficult it is to continue believing in the mere wisp of a legend. It's not even some prominent thing. It's considered insanity. 10 years was as long as the people that were left, at least I'm assuming the ones in the graves, could hold out. It eventually got to them, and they headed for Onigashima, and he gets blunt with it. They all died. Every single one of them. I'm assuming that was the army previously that Ashura Doji had, or I guess maybe Odin's complete old army. And it shows them talking to Ashura Doji, and they say to him, it's already been 10 years. We're older than we used to be. In 10 more years, we'll be 2 steps away from the grave. And you still want us to wait for people that we don't even know are actually coming? Like they said, it's a wisp of a legend. It makes no sense. There's never been time travel. Why would they believe that this is what's going to happen? And as you see how loyal Ashura Doji was. He really 100% believed in the fact that Kinemon and the others would 100% certainly return with Lord Momonosuke. But it ended up being 20 years. Because they refused to bend the knee to Orochi, So you switch to just Wano, I guess, after it was won by Kaido. And you have people complaining that they don't have food, that they're going to die of illness before a battle even begins. And Kaido's army shows up to destroy their well, to burn their crops. The people are dying, and they turn to Shutamaru and say, we can't take this anymore. We can't wait when they're destroying our food. They're killing our brothers and sisters. And Ashura Doji just tries to stay steadfast, to quit telling them to quit complaining. This isn't a dog's death. If we don't gather as many men under the Kozuki name as we can over these years, we don't stand a chance. And they turn to him and say, at least let us die with our swords in our hand. We're not long for this world. We want to leave it as samurai and not cowards. Do not stop us. And they point to him and they say, do you remember when we were kids? We had a chant we'd scream to test our courage, and we knew that people would get scared because they value their own lives. We'd yell that we needed to throw away our names and thoughts, clear your mind, and dive into the fray. They say it as they raise their swords in the sky and say, snatch. And that, if you remember, is what Zoro was taught to say when he was a young boy training under, I forgot his sensei's name, but his old teacher. Awesome move, once again by Oda, to lead directly into this and make us not forget that there is a lot going on with Zoro, and I'm sure we're going to find out quite a few details, especially with what's going on in the next couple of panels going forward in the story. Another page, I really, really enjoy this chapter, just with how, good of a job he does of making it, just so somber. And Oda's usually known for drawing these big, elaborate backgrounds, but the camera's now on the angle turned towards facing Ashura Doji, Kinemon, and Duke Dogstorm, but now the camera's in the graves themselves, and you just see the rows passing them and the small figures of the characters that we know. And he turns, you get a close-up of his face, and he asks, why so long? Why 20 years? And Dogstorm says the only one that knows that is the one who sent us. And there had to be some kind of reason for her to do that. But in the end, Ashura Doji's about it, and he's not worried about this. Screw it. He turns and yells at the army that he does have now and says the time has now come. 8 days from the day, on the night of the Fire Festival, under the banner of the Kozuki clan, we will raid Onigashima and end the terror of Kaido and the Shogun Orochi. If any of you have guts, join us. And the people lose their mind. Of course they're down. They're going with their leader into battle. They waited for this day, and they will not let the death of Yasui go to waste. And Ashura Doji turns and talks a mess to Kinemon and says, you guys are the same as you were that day, right, Kinemon? A long time ago we were the same age, but, we're 20 years stronger than you now. And Inuarashi and them buddy up together and turn on them and they're like, yeah, you bet we are. It's good to see them getting back together. Well, I'm sure it's good for them to all finally get back together. For some of them, it's been months. For the others, it's been 20 years. We come to the final parts of the chapter. It's a couple of pages where we cut to the forest where Zoro is protecting Komurasaki from the ninjas that are coming in an endless wave against him. And he just keeps taking them down one after the other. And after the final one in the panel dies, I'm assuming Zoro just killed the shit out of these guys. That's what Zoro does. He does remark that there's a lot of ninjas in this army, and when is this going to end? Hopefully it's now. And Komurasaki slowly slides the door open and stares at her loving husband. And walking by, he turns to her, and she says, I'm so sorry, I'm in your way. And in Zoro fashion, he turns to her and said, yep, you are. It's okay, though. If you died on me, I don't know what I'd say to Momonosuke. I do believe Zoro's the only one right now that knows it's Momonosuke's sister. They're having a little discussion about where Momo and Otoko are and how Otoko is in, I guess, state of mind-wise after her father got murdered in front of her. Probably not in the best of mind frame, but hopefully she'll be okay. He does say that he's starting to feel naked without his sword, and he does need to get back to the guy who took it from him. And Komurasaki offers to be the guy to take him there to the bandit bridge in Ringo. And we get Zoro's kind of quest, or at least the way to keep him away from what's going on and to have the Straw Hats not together. He still has to get Shusui back. I'm assuming he's going to learn a lot more about it when he finally does get that back. I think we're finally going to get that focus on Zoro going forward. Wano has seemed to be built up to be a very important arc for him, and though he has gotten some attention, it's not as much as we've been knowing, or at least thinking that it's going to be. As Zoro's laying down and resting, Komurasaki begs him to let her kill Orochi herself, and not Zoro or Luffy or anyone else, and you flash away again. This is the last page, and we are back in the Flower Capital, And you have a couple people talking, asking, "What's the matter? You've been acting strangely." And it's Hawkins talking to Drake. And Drake says it's nothing, just get this over with. Now here's, I don't know what's going to happen going forward, but I just don't see the supernovas that are under Kaido's care staying, or under his rule, staying that way. Law is a very smart man, and he's got a good silver tongue. And I think he's going to implore to both of them to sort of make this new alliance in taking down Kaido. They've seen what Luffy can do. Perhaps if he can even manipulate Hawkins' cards, maybe, but convince Hawkins to join and Drake to join, we're going to get the team slowly building up on this part of the town like it was when Luffy was doing his job, as it's also doing on the other side of town with Asura Doji and Kinemon and Duke Dog Storm. It is revealed in that moment, like I said, that Law had been captured. We knew it was probably going to happen, or something bad would happen to Law because he wouldn't be able to sacrifice his crew for himself to get out. But he is smiling no matter how bloody he is. And it's another one of those, I think this might be where Law wants to be. And that is the end of chapter 950. I hope you had a great time, because I had a good time reading it and doing the video. I'll see you next week.